Ireland crack under the French pressure. France with a total shutout at the Aviva. 2 yellow cards to Ireland did not help their cause at all. But France turn one on and hand Ireland their first loss of the Six Nations this year. And what a way to push for that title. Before we get into it, let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the game. Who played well, who didn't, who was your man of the match? What did you think of Ireland's performance? What did you think of France's performance? Hit that subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Man, how wrong was I in the week leading up to the game, saying how France can't handle these pressure games or these pressure situations. When a game gets tough, they go into their shell, or they lose focus, or they lose their whole way of how to play. How wrong was I? Total domination from this French side. Faced adversity as well. Antoine Dupont got injured in the 28th minute, I think. Their only backline sub came on in Luku, and he played outstanding. This French forward pack just absolutely dominated Ireland's forward pack. How wrong was I? Again, I don't mind being wrong, but man, I was not expecting this performance from this French side. We'll stay on Ireland first, the home side. Up against it early on, obviously James Lowe injury in the warm-up, that just throws a bit of spanner in the works. Nash came into the side, and then Jamie Osborne went to the left wing. Good first touch from Calvin Nash. Did really well to contest for the ball there. What I thought Ireland did really well with ball in hand was taking how much emphasis they put on taking the ball right up until the line and then playing their option, whether that's a short ball or out the back. Really, really hard to defend. In saying that, France's defense was just relentless, ruthless. They had, I think it was 38 tackles in the first 5 or 6 minutes. It was by 10 minutes, France was sitting on 66 tackles made already. And my notes in here was can they keep that up? And did they keep that up? Holy, everything I said about this French side leading up to the game, they flipped that totally on its head. I said they couldn't handle the pressure. They couldn't keep going for a full 80 minutes. Ireland thrive under that pressure. They thrive under adversity, under absorbing pressure and then turning it around onto their opposition. And this is literally what France did. In the first half, they absorbed all the pressure from Ireland, held them out, and when that momentum shift happened later on in the game, they just turned it on. Oh, man. Opportunities to score for Ireland early on, missed 3 or 4 opportunities. Doris held up over the line, and then just easy turnovers or losing the ball at ruck time or losing it at the line out. I think they had 2 entries into the 22 within the first 8 minutes and came away with no points. I think by halftime, it was 4 or 5 entries into the 22 and no points because it was all penalty kicks outside of the 22. That's where the points came from for Ireland in that first half. France's rush defense putting Ireland under a ton of pressure, and not just a rush defense and broken rush defense. They were really well connected. I thought Mofana was really good in that regard, knowing when to push up, knowing when to hold back, and making strong one-on-one tackles. I thought Doris was immense. At ruck time, especially in that first half, he made a couple of turnovers then. I said before the game, this is going to be a big game for Doris. I kind of singled him and Aldridge out for that matchup. I thought he did really well in that regard. Joe McCarthy, silly mistake that, or just silly bit of play that, to pull Ramos back off by his collar, and it was obviously a support play for a grubber kick, and getting the yellow there, and France score straight away off the back of that. And then this is where I'm saying Ireland putting themselves or making it really hard for themselves with silly errors like that. Much needed penalty conversion for Prendergast before halftime, but then they give away a penalty right from the kickoff there, and Ramos kicks a penalty, so scratches that penalty that Prendergast just kicked. That's just coach killers, man. You work so hard to get points on or to get a little bit into the game, and then right off that kickoff, give away a penalty there. And a huge penalty from Prendergast, 50 meters out, I think it was, to go into the break, 6-8 at halftime. One of the most exciting halves of rugby, but it was only 6 to 8 points. And this just built towards what was going to happen in the second half. And I don't think many people saw what was going to happen. Ireland come out in that second half, the best start possible. Dan Sheehan, 2 minutes into it, scores from a maul. And this is where I'm like, this is what Ireland have been waiting for. They've been absorbing that pressure. They've done really well in that first half to not let the score get too high. And this is where that momentum shift happens. And this is where Ireland put that pressure on to their opponent. Oh, man, was I wrong. Another yellow to Calvin Nash, upright head-on-head in the tackle. And France go bang right off the back of that. That's twice now. So Joe McCarthy gets a yellow in the first half, France score off the back of it. Calvin Nash gets a yellow in the second half, and France score off the back of it. And it just goes from bad to worse for Ireland here. Trying everything they can, literally through, I feel like, the kitchen sink at France on attack. But this French defense, those French forwards, just relentless, ruthless in Ireland's face, causing those intercepts, causing those drop balls, and just physically battering Ireland. This is the first time in a while that I've seen this happen. It's the first time in the Six Nations that I've seen, or in this year's Six Nations that I've seen that happen. Ireland flustered, rattled, and just honestly outplayed. I don't think there's much pushback on that. Outplayed. Yes, the yellow cards. Yes, James Lowe injury in before the game or in the warm-up. But France also had adversity. Their best player, the best player in the world, Antoine Dupont, goes off in the 28th minute, and they use their only backline player sub for the rest of the game. And holy, happy for Cian Healy to get a try late on, consolation try. Jack Conan scored later on as well to kind of ease the scoreline a bit, but absolutely outplayed Ireland were tonight. Standouts, I thought Hugo Keenan tried his absolute, he tried the most. He was really good in the aerial battle. And really, really tried hard. I thought Doris and Van der Fleer were good as well. They just kept going. But this French forward pack they were fantastic. Jumping over to France, so poor discipline early on allow Ireland to kind of walk into that game, to settle really into the game. They held Doris up over the line, and defense, man. This game, even though they scored a ton of points, 42 of them, this game was won off the back of fantastic defense, just ruthless and relentless defense from this French side. The 7-1 split on the bench, when Dupont went off, you were like, oh, I don't know how well this is going to work, but it worked fantastically with the forwards that came on and how well they did, how well the forwards did that started. Bowden on, just relentless, man. Molvaka, these guys, Antonio, these guys, Aldrich were just at it. And then the guys that came on, Jalok was really, really good. Merfol was good. Merchant was good as well. A risk reward you take with doing that 7-1 split, and in this game it paid off. That rush defense worked really well for them, staying connected, getting up in Ireland's face, causing a ton of errors off Ireland's attack, and then just capitalize off Ireland's mistakes, or Ireland's foul play. They get the yellow cards. off Joe McCarthy's yellow card, they go to the maul, or they go to touch. They get the maul there, and what they did really well, what I think they did well with this maul here, is they set the maul and then dragged Ireland's defense, or the maul towards the posts, opening up that blind side. And then Dupont comes off at the right time. It's a 3-on-2. He plays a nice skip pass for Louis Belle-Beret to go over untouched. Lovely set play. I don't know if it was a set play or this is what they wanted to do. They maybe wanted to score off the maul try, but they really did well at dragging that maul towards the posts, opening up that blind side. And you've got a finisher like Louis Belle-Beret on the outside there. You want to use him. And Dupont execution on that skip pass was fantastic. I thought they found a ton of space down Calvin Nash's wing, especially with the little grubbers in behind, and really punishing Ireland in that regard. Big turning point was Dupont's injury at the 29th or 28th minute. They were running the 7-1 split, so you go with that risk-reward. So the only backbench player in Luko came on at the 28th minute. Like, you still got 50 minutes of the game to play. And it paid off, man. Luko did exceptionally well when he came on. Just playing his role. He's got all the players outside of him. You don't have to overplay your hand. Just pass. Just be there. Be that support. Be the communicator between backs and forwards. And he did that really, really well. They conceded a try early on in the second half. And this is where I'm like, oh man, the tides have turned. The tables have turned. Momentum has shifted. All in Ireland's favour. But credit to this French side, man. Credit to the forwards. They bounced back, and they bounced back massively. That Bolton on tries just off the back of French forwards up the middle, just back to basics, strong, physical running. France really not going to lay down for this one. Like I said, I'm going to keep saying it. This French forward pack, and with the reserves that they had, pretty much the whole forward pack could be subbed off and subbed back on. It really worked for them. Can we talk about Louis Belle-Beret's second try for a second? Oh my, France with the turnover on one side of the field off the back of just a powerful counter-ruck. And what I love about this is the turnovers on this side of the field, they end up scoring on this side. It's so important that when a turnover is made to really shift that point of contact. You don't want to make a turnover here and then still play with the ball here. Let's get that ball to the other side of the field. And why wouldn't you want to shift the ball wide when you've got someone like Louis Belle-Beret on the end of it? And I think he claims the grubber now. The grubber should be named LBB. Like the offload was named Sonny Bill Williams. Louis Belle-Beret just owns a grubber. How he knows how much weight to put on it, but man, perfectly to a T, goes around Crowley there and dots it down to score. French flair at its best, capitalizing on Ireland being a man down, counter-ruck perfection, shift the point of contact, Pernod busts through, big long ball to Louis Belle-Beret, puts it on the foot and goes around to score. Man, showing out in those big moments. Holy, what a game you have on your hands here. And this is just France totally flipping what I said in the week. Again, I'm mentioning it. I was wrong, totally wrong in the week, and happy to wear that. France just then continue with that pressure, using their forwards to bust down the middle, rumbling down the middle, and their forwards doing the absolute most tonight. So strong up front, really just bringing it back to basics. So while they're scoring these outrageous, fancy French flair tries, they're also doing the nitty-gritty, tough stuff really, really well. Djiku scores off the back of it, and then the nail in the coffin. Ireland pressuring that French try line, and again, this French defense, or that rush defense, working an absolute treat. Ramos with an intercept. I'm not going to run the whole way. I've got one of the fastest men in world rugby next to me. Give it to Pernod, and he goes over untouched. And this French side, or this France team, just absolutely shut Ireland out at the Aviva. Wow. Like, wowee. I did not expect it. There's a lot of people who did expect it. I did not expect it at all. France with one of the best performances this French side has ever put out. Ramos, 7 from 8 off the tee. He was fantastic. And the whole French forward pack, tick. Well done. So physical, so strong. Stayed in it the whole game. That 7-1 split being an absolute working a treat. Worked really well for them. I thought Luco did well when he came on. Tick. Hats off to the French side. Holy, that opens it up for the Six Nations title. It really takes it to the last round. It's still anyone's, but French are leading the title race by 2 points on the ladder, and obviously got a massive points difference there. Oh, what did you guys think of the game? Who played well? Who didn't? What did Ireland do wrong? What did France do right? Let me know in the comments. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.